Welcome back to the channel Valuable Coins HD, where everyday coins turn into incredible discoveries. Today, we're going to talk about a coin that most people never look twice at. It's small. It's silver in color. And it's worth just 10 cents, at least, that's what most people think. But don't let that fool you, because today we're talking about a Roosevelt dime that could be worth far, far more. That's right. We're diving into the mysterious and valuable world of the 1985 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark, minted in Philadelphia. And by the end of this video, you might find yourself checking every dime you come across. Now, you've probably used a Roosevelt dime dozens, if not hundreds, of times. You use them for parking meters, vending machines, and as loose change you barely think about. But today, we're zooming in on a very specific year, 1985. Because something happened that year at the Philadelphia Mint that turned a few of these dimes into gold mines for collectors. Let's start with a bit of history. The Roosevelt dime has been a staple of U.S. currency since 1946, created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his death. His image replaced the Mercury dime, and the new design featured his left-facing portrait on the obverse, with a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch on the reverse, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. It was fitting for a man who led the country through the Great Depression and most of World War II. For decades, the Roosevelt dime remained largely unchanged. But as years passed, so did the potential for minting anomalies, and that's where 1985 comes in. 1985, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of dimes. Most of them were flawless. They worked perfectly in vending machines, filled coin rolls, and circulated without incident. But a very small number, we're talking an incredibly rare fraction, were different. These rare dimes contained minting errors that only trained eyes or lucky finders would spot. Some had misaligned dies, meaning the coin was struck slightly off-center. Others had double dies, where parts of the lettering or date appear to be shadowed or layered. And then, there were those few coins struck on the wrong planchets, meaning a dime was mistakenly made using the metal blank for another coin, like a penny or a foreign denomination. These errors aren't always obvious to the untrained eye. But to collectors, they're like winning the lottery. A dime with the right kind of error, combined with excellent preservation, can become extremely valuable, but rarity isn't the only factor that drives up the price. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. A coin that shows no signs of wear, no scratches, no discoloration, and retains its original luster can be graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as mint state. A high grade, like MS66, MS67, or even MS68, can elevate the value of a coin astronomically. Now imagine this, a 1985 Roosevelt dime with a rare minting error, struck in Philadelphia with that small P under the year, preserved in pristine mint state condition. That's the kind of coin collectors dream about. That's the kind of coin that gets showcased in auction houses, locked away in personal vaults, and talked about in coin clubs across the country. But here's the twist, some of these coins are still out there. That's right. They weren't all found. Many of them slipped into circulation unnoticed. One might be sitting in a piggy bank, inside a tip jar, or in the cup holder of your car, just waiting to be discovered. And the only way to know? You have to look. So how can you spot one? First, check the date, 1985. Then, look just above the date for the P mint mark, which tells you it was minted in Philadelphia. If the coin looks unusually well preserved or you notice anything odd, like doubling in the lettering, off-center stamping, or strange coloration, you could be holding something special. At that point, it might be worth having the coin professionally appraised or graded. These are the kinds of coins that prove why the hobby of coin collecting is so exciting. It's not just about old silver or gold, it's about the thrill of the hunt, the magic of finding something rare, and the chance that your next coin could be the big one. And now, let's get to the part you've all been waiting for, the value point. One of these rare 1985 Roosevelt dimes with the P mint mark, featuring a verified mint error and preserved in exceptional mint state condition, has been valued by collectors and sold in auction for a mind-blowing $66,000. Yes. You heard that right. A 10-cent coin, worth $66,000. So don't overlook the little things. Check your change. Examine those dimes. Because sometimes, the smallest coins hold the biggest surprises. Today's episode is for all the sharp-eyed collectors, curious minds, and everyday folks who still believe that treasure can be found in the most unexpected places, like your pocket, purse, or even the couch cushions. That's right, we're talking about a small coin with the potential for a massive payday. A coin you've probably seen dozens of times. One you might have used to buy candy, feed a parking meter, or ignored at the bottom of a coin jar. But today, we're shining a spotlight on the 1979 Roosevelt dime, minted in Denver, identified by a small D mint mark just above the date. Now before you brush it off as just another common dime, stay with me. Because not all 1979 D dimes are created equal, and some of them, believe it or not, are worth tens of thousands of dollars. You might even be holding one and not know it. Let's start with a little background. The Roosevelt dime has been part of American coinage since 1946, introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a man who led the country through the Great Depression and much of World War II. His image replaced the iconic winged Liberty head, or Mercury, dime, and his portrait has graced the dime ever since. By 1979, the Roosevelt dime had already been in circulation for over 3 decades. But the year itself was a fascinating time in U.S. history. The country was facing inflation, fuel shortages, and economic shifts. Yet the mint was business as usual, churning out millions of coins from facilities in Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Denver. The Denver Mint, in particular, produced hundreds of millions of dimes in 1979. The vast majority were just regular coins, passed from hand to hand without a second thought. But, and this is a big but, hidden among the ocean of ordinary dimes were a few rarities that slipped past quality control. These are the coins we're here to talk about. Some of the 1979 D. Roosevelt dimes have been found with minting errors, and these errors are what make certain coins so valuable to collectors. What kinds of errors, you ask? Let's break it down. Off-center strikes, where the coin is stamped incorrectly, cutting off part of the design. Double die obverse, a slight duplication or ghosting effect on the text or date, very subtle but incredibly valuable. Wrong planchet strikes. Imagine a dime being struck on a blank intended for a penny or even a foreign coin. These rare occurrences happen when planchets are mixed during production. Clipped planchets, coins missing a portion of the edge due to a misfeed in the striking press. These aren't just factory flaws, they're extremely collectible anomalies that send coin collectors into a frenzy. And the demand is real, but rarity isn't the only thing that matters. Condition is just as important. A 1979 D. Roosevelt dime that looks perfect to the naked eye, no scratches, no signs of wear, still shiny as the day it was made, could be classified as mint state, or MS. Coins in MS-67 or higher condition are exceptionally rare, especially when they also feature one of the minting errors we just talked about. And then there's provenance, the story behind the coin. If a rare 1979 D dime has been professionally graded and authenticated by a reputable agency like PCGS or NGC, its value can shoot through the roof. These coins have appeared in auction houses, coin expos, and private sales. And each time they change hands, the legend, and the price, only grows. Now here's the kicker: some of these rare error dimes went completely unnoticed at the time. They were never pulled aside or put into special collector sets. They went straight into circulation, into cash registers, lunchboxes, and maybe even your family's old coin jar. That means one of these valuable coins could still be out there, quietly waiting to be found by someone with a sharp eye and a little bit of luck. So here's your mission: the next time you're counting out change, take a second look at your dimes. Check the date, 1979. Look for the little D mint mark and really examine the coin. Is anything slightly off? Any doubling in the text? Is it strangely misaligned, clipped, or unusually thick or thin? These subtle signs could be the key to unlocking a treasure. And now, the moment you've been waiting for: a verified 1979 Roosevelt dime, minted in Denver with a clear and rare minting error, combined with near-perfect mint state condition. was recently valued at a staggering $73,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 10-cent coin. Worth $73,000. So before you toss your change into a jar or spend it without thinking, remember this: sometimes, the smallest coins can hold the biggest surprises. Today, we're turning our spotlight onto one of the smallest coins in US currency, but don't let its size fool you. Because buried in its silver shine is a story of value, rarity, and a surprising collector's twist. The coin we're talking about is the 1987 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark, and yes, some of these tiny coins could be worth far more than you'd ever expect. So sit tight, because we're diving deep into the world of Roosevelt dimes, and by the end of this video, you may just find yourself checking every single dime you come across from now on. Let's begin by going back a bit in time. The Roosevelt dime has been part of American currency since 1946. It was introduced just months after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, one of the most respected leaders in U.S. history. Known for leading the country through the Great Depression and World War II, Roosevelt's legacy was commemorated with this 10-cent piece. And appropriately so, he was also a major supporter of the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio. His image on the front, or obverse, of the dime is something most of us have seen thousands of times. The reverse features a torch flanked by olive and oak branches, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. It's a classic, straightforward design that hasn't changed much in decades, which is why the rare variations and errors stand out so dramatically. Now, let's zero in on 1987, a year that may seem too recent to be collectible, right? But that's where the story gets interesting. In 1987, the U.S. Mint in Denver, represented by the D mint mark, produced millions of Roosevelt dimes. Most of them were routine, circulated coins, indistinguishable from the millions made in previous and later years. But within that mountain of metal, a few anomalies slipped through the cracks, and when it comes to coin collecting, it's these anomalies, or minting errors, that make all the difference. Let's talk about some of the types of errors that might have occurred on 1987 D Roosevelt dimes: off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted to one side; double die obverse or reverse, where you can see faint duplication in the year, lettering, or image; planchet errors, the coin might be struck on a blank that was intended for a different denomination; clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin's edge is missing due to a misfeed; broad strikes, where the coin lacks a clearly defined rim, making it appear stretched. These errors aren't created on purpose, they're unintentional and rare, which is exactly what makes them so valuable. Collectors call them freaks of the mint, and they're always in demand. But combine a minting error with a high grade, meaning the coin is in superb condition, and you've got something truly extraordinary. Now, about condition, coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with anything above 65 being considered mint state, or MS. A 1987 D Roosevelt dime in MS 66 or higher, especially one with a visible error, can leap from being pocket change to something worthy of a secure glass case and a professional appraisal. The thing is, many of these valuable coins went unnoticed for years. Think about it: who's really inspecting every single dime that passes through their hands? Most people never look past the date, if at all. And that's how these coins have quietly circulated, some even sitting untouched in coin jars, passed over without a second glance. But now that more collectors and enthusiasts are turning their eyes toward the late 20th century coins, the 1987 D dime has become a hot topic. People are starting to realize just how few flawless specimens exist, and how incredibly rare it is to find one with an error in top condition. And here's where the real excitement comes in. Let's say you're lucky enough to find a 1987 D Roosevelt dime with a noticeable error. Maybe you catch a doubling in the lettering or a striking misalignment. Then you realize it's in nearly perfect shape, no scratches, no wear, full original luster. You send it off for grading, and it comes back MS 67 or better. What happens next? Well, something remarkable. Because one such coin, with a certified minting error and pristine mint state grade, has sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $58,000. Yes. You heard that correctly. A 10-cent coin, just a Roosevelt dime from 1987, sold for $58,000. So the next time you get change at a coffee shop, or you're cleaning out that old jar of coins in the kitchen drawer, don't ignore the dimes. Flip them over. Check for that 1987 date. Look for the tiny D mint mark just above the year. And take a closer look, you just might find something worth more than most people would ever believe. If you found this story surprising, fascinating, or even a little thrilling, do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another episode. Because here, we believe the next big discovery could be in your pocket right now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy coin hunting.